Hey everybody, welcome to Wild, Creative, and Confident, a video interview series where you can learn from the most inspiring industry leaders on how you can use your passion and creativity to design the life and business of your dreams. I am your host, Sarah Marie Thompson from wildandcreative.com, the creative success coach, and today I have with me Lexi D'Angelo. She's a soulful business strategist and a success alchemist. And back in the fall, she created a new vibe on her website called biznew, which is strategy, soul, spirituality, and unique magic. And she has also created biznew magazine, which is a new virtual magazine that will probably be landing on your computer very soon. So welcome, Lexi.
Thank you. I'm so excited to be here with you.
Can you just actually explain a little bit more about biznew magazine?
Yeah, of course. So basically, as you said, in the fall, I kind of had a little bit of a shift inside of my business. And prior, I was really just focusing on a lot of, the business, more masculine side of things. And I've always just been so attracted to the more woo-woo, esoteric, magical realm, but I've kind of been afraid to play in that area. And so I kind of threw all reasoning to the side in the fall and was like, I'm just going to really go after what lights me up, what I'm passionate about. And it was still the business, but also infused with that woo-woo side. So the two came together, and I also just wanted to really be in collaboration with other women inside of the community, whether they were business people, woo-woo people, or a little bit of both. And so the purpose of biznew magazine is just to really serve as a space for women to get the best information and resources and knowledge out there in terms of business and the more esoteric stuff, because I really do think that, the internet is so saturated with all this information. And so I really want to throw out all the fluff and stuff that's not very useful, and just get to like the heart and the soul of everything, and do this with other powerful leaders in the industry. So that's why I created biznew magazine in a nutshell.
Cool. So, okay, I want to ask you this. Woo-woo, we hear it all the time. It's something that I feel like it's been sweeping the internet like in the past couple years. I feel like it's a term that people are maybe using that don't understand that kind of more open-minded lifestyle, right?
Mm-hmm.
So I want to ask, why do you think that it is so important to add that additional magical lifestyle into your business now than ever before?
It's a great question, because before, when I was just doing the more masculine actions and making everybody else's dreams and goals my own, that was a huge problem. I hit severe burnout. And I think it's more so, I don't think everybody has to incorporate the woo-woo thing. If you're not into that, then whatever, like, you do your thing. I don't want to ever impose something on someone that they don't want for themselves. But for me, I really, after I hit this period of burnout, I had to do a lot of inward reflection and really feel into what was lighting me up. And that was, so I knew that I had to incorporate that inside of my business to kind of just keep that excitement and that passion alive inside of it. So that was why it was so important for me to incorporate inside of my business.
Oh, that brings me to something that, okay, this is all about you, but I'm just going to bring this up.
Yeah.
Something that happened. So I have actually gone through a couple different phases of my business. And about 4 years ago, I was operating specifically from a very feminine side of things, where only intuition, following my inspirations, all of that. Things were booming. Then I decided to shift gears a little bit, brought more of the masculine side of things into it, and things started to not go so well.
Really?
And so I had to shift it again into more of a balanced into more balance, right? Where you have do the 80-20 rule, right?
Yep.
I think that nowadays people are really adapting or adopting that feminine operation of doing things, which is all about following your intuition, following your inspirations, listening to your heart, all of that, which does sound woo-woo, I guess, but truly that's how you start doing something that makes your heart sing, right?
Yeah. And I think it's all about pleasure for me too, because when I'm operating from this space of like the grind and just going after the numbers and this and that, like, the joy gets completely sucked out of it. And so I think that when you can operate from that woo-woo feminine space, you are able to connect way more with your core truths and your desires. And that's where the magic happens. And so I think that that's so important. But again, there is an element of masculine that should be in the picture as well, because you can't, just sit around all day and meditate and expect things to happen. I like to call it manifest action. So you can do the manifesting, but you also have to take the action in order to see the results that you're looking for.
Awesome. That sums it up. Manifest action. That's awesome.
Yep, there you go.
So tell me, before we get started, really, what is your magic that you're putting into your business?
That's a great question. I think the number one thing for me is just, and I know it sounds so cheesy, but it is what it is. And it's just really being unapologetically me. And by doing that, I am inspiring other women to do the same, because ever since I've really incorporated more of my personality, like I'm weird, I'm quirky, and more of my passion for astrology and the woo-woo side of things, I've had so many women reach out to me and be like, thank you for making this okay. Like, thank you for showing me that I can let all the different sides of me inside of my business, and that's okay to do. And so for me, it's just being myself, and then that is allowing other people to really step into their own power and to serve the world in a more powerful way.
Awesome. Very cool. So tell me, did you always know deep down that you would get to this place in your life, like right now?
I don't think I knew what it looked like, but ever since I was younger, it's like, it was a weird feeling. Like, I just knew that there was something bigger than me. Like, I think everybody feels that to a certain extent, but I knew that I was going to play a larger role than just like going to school, graduating, being in the 9-to-5, and just like going through the motions. Like, that was never something I was ever interested in. I was always a huge dreamer and had all these like ideas, and I've always been an entrepreneur at heart too. So I knew I was going to do something, but I didn't know it was going to look like this, because I had no idea what coaching was until like 2 years ago, or a little bit more than that. So crazy.
What was your very first entrepreneurial experience? Like when you were like 4 or 5?
Oh my God. There were so many. I think the one that was profitable was I would make slushies, and I would go and they were probably terrible, but I would get like Coca-Cola, like orange juice, and I'd make all these slushies, and I'd go around door to door in my neighborhood and sell them. And my mom was like, you can't go to people's doors and just be selling them. They're going to feel like obligated to buy them because they know who you are. I'm like, yeah, that's the point.
And that might not fly these days.
Yeah, exactly. But I don't know, it was profitable.
Awesome. Paid for your whatever you want to do that summer, right?
Yeah, exactly.
Okay, I want to ask you, how have you been able to allow the universe to really help you receive all that you have wanted?
I think it's just like having that, it's like we're co-creating together. So and one of my favorite books is by Mike Dooley, Leveraging the Universe. And there's an exercise in it. It's called the triangle exercise. And it talks about, on one side of it, like everything that you can do, that you know that you can take action on and that you're going to be responsible for. And then on the other side, it's like everything that you're going to ask the universe to support you with. So I love that, because I really do believe like you have to take a certain level of responsibility and commit to your success, but it's not all about you. There's something greater at work. And so just asking the universe and being very clear about what you desire, and just having that co-creative relationship. And I think also gratitude is like a huge thing that I'm always talking about. And I think it's like just become trendy, but I think gratitude is just so important, because if you're not constantly being grateful and giving gratitude for what you have right now, then nothing's going to grow. You're not going to attract even more of the same. So I think that for people who are just starting out with, law of attraction, trusting in the universe, just being thankful for what you have right here, right now, is a really good entryway.
So, when the movie The Secret came out, right, back in like 2008 or something like that, for you, was that one of the first initial times where you really kind of put those things together?
Honestly, I remember I think I remember my mom giving me the book. She was like, here's a book, you should read it. And I was like, wow, this is so cool. But part of me was like, this isn't true. It's not real. I've always been like that kind of person who's like a big believer, big dreamer, but then also so practical and like, well, how can this be real? And like analyzing every detail. So I guess that was like my first insight into everything, but I didn't really think too much of it at the time because, again, like the people I was surrounding myself with, no one was talking about that kind of stuff. Like that was just like so out there. So I don't think it was until a couple years later probably where like I was just like in a kind of like a dark place in my life. Like I was just having extreme anxiety and it was debilitating anxiety and I was needing help. And so I turned to meditation and yoga because I heard those were things that would help you. And that was kind of like my entryway into this whole new world.
I always like to ask because, I mean, I remember when The Secret came out very well and, I started like implementing those things and then I went through really dark time like right around then because I was overanalyzing like everything from the movie The Secret. It was so annoying. But I realized, after I kind of stepped out of the bubble and I was like, I've already been doing all these things. Like I just haven't been processing it that way as I've been thinking about it, but I've been doing all of these things already. I've been thinking positively. So do you think that people can, well, it's true, but do you think that a lot of your people that you coach, overanalyze, a lot of their thoughts or what they want to have happen in a negative way?
Yeah. I mean, I think that, some people I don't know. Some people I coach are just so positive. Their mindset is like in check. And some people come to me being like, what is mindset work? Like, what are you talking about?
Yeah.
So I think it really depends and people are all over the place and all over the scale. But I think that mindset in general, like it is something that we have done our whole lives to a certain extent. But I just think that we haven't been able to like pinpoint exactly what it is. Like you were saying, I've always been a pretty positive person. So I've acknowledged like, oh, I have done some of these things along the way. But for people who like aren't in the know about mindset stuff, I think it can help to make things like really tangible. Like here's a practice you can do. Here's a ritual, like, and explain it because that makes it way more practical.
Mm-hmm.
And so some people who are just like, what is this secret magic? When you give them something more practical and tangible, it's really helpful.
So what is infinite receiving for you?
Oh, infinite receiving. That's a good question. I mean, for me, I guess I'm just going to go with my initial reaction here to that question, but I just think that there are infinite possibilities inside of this universe and that there is so much that can happen and you have a choice. I really do believe that like, yes, everything happens for a reason, but I do believe that the way that you choose your thoughts, say your words, take your actions has a huge impact on which one of these infinite possibilities is available for you. And so I think that you are able to kind of make a choice about like what you're going to receive, and there are infinite possibilities for you out there, and you just have to believe that whatever you desire is meant for you, and that when you do co-create with the universe, you can receive in that infinite way.
What would you say is probably your biggest roadblock or setback when it comes to receiving for yourself or the, something that you've really had to work on yourself?
So what's been really tough for me is I think that when I'm really doing well inside of my business and I'm seeing a lot of success, I can sometimes get on my high horse and be like, I don't need this woo-woo mindset stuff. Like, I'm doing great, like whatever. Mm-hmm. And so then like, I'm on a roll, and then something small might trip me up. But since like I have not been concentrating on my mindset work or the more spiritual stuff, like I will like trip and stumble, and then I'll be like, shoot, and scramble like to get back into that place. So that can be a struggle for me, is like really making time for the two of them, because I found that when I'm like in these like dark and like bad times, like I'm so into the woo, like I'm so into my mindset work. And so just really being consistent, I've gotten better, but it's definitely been a battle along the way, and something that I see myself struggling with from time to time.
What suggestions would you give to our viewers about increasing their ability to receive everything that they ever want to attract?
Well, I think it's the first thing is just getting really clear on what it is that you want to attract, because a lot of the times people are like, I want a lot of clients, or I want a lot of money, or I want like the love of my life. And like, that's great. But like, let's get really specific about exactly what you want to call in, because you need to be so clear on what it is that you desire in order for it to manifest and become your reality. So I think the number one thing is just getting clear on all the details, what it looks like, what it feels like, just really, again, like painting a full picture of it so you have something to go towards. So I think that you need that like beacon of light to move towards in order to have that created for you.
Right. Because if you don't know what your goals are, how do you know?
Then where are you going? Yeah.
Clarity is the roadmap to success. Yes.
Really
What has been your biggest achievement to date? So can you also give us a little bit of backstory? You said that you only really found out about coaching like a few years ago, right? So obviously you've had some definite, like a roller coaster, like, in the past few years of changes, right? So.
Yeah. Gosh. Okay. So, I first found out about coaching in 2014. I believe it was the spring. I enrolled in IIN, which is Institute for Integrative Nutrition, to become a health coach. And I just remember thinking the coaching world was the coolest thing ever, that you could help women transform their lives. Like that was like, whoa, like how did I not know this existed in the first place? And so I like to call health coaching my gateway drug. There's probably a better term for that. But I wasn't so much fascinated by like health and wellness as I was just helping like the transformational or the transformation inside of women's lives. Mm-hmm. And I've always had a background in sales, marketing, and business. So it eventually like evolved into business coaching last year. And I think the thing that I'm most proud of myself for, because so like health coaching to business coaching, I was in this business coaching world, and I was surrounded by so many high achieving, successful women inside of the industry. And I think I got really, what's the word? I'm a very competitive person. So I was like, if they can do it, I can do it. Like, let me prove myself. And so as I said earlier in the interview, I was going after things that weren't necessarily my truth or my desire, just to kind of keep up with the rat race. Mm-hmm. And so I think one of the things that I'm most proud of myself, and it's been my biggest accomplishment, was being able to turn out the noise, really tune into myself, and take the time. Like I took like 3 or 4 months off from the end of August to like November to really figure out what it was that I wanted to be creating, what it was that I wanted to be inspiring women to do, etc. And it was really tough for me to do that, but it's been the biggest game changer inside my business. My business is so much more joyful now. So I think, again, turning in and tuning out what everybody else was doing was my biggest accomplishment to date, for sure.
So let's talk about, you mentioned competition, right? Because that is, like the online world, we're being inundated with like everybody's next how-to guide for something, or, there's so many people that you work with and you want to collaborate with, but, they might be doing something similar to you and all of that. Obviously competition has got to you a little bit. How did you really step back from that?
Yeah. Honestly, I wish it was a little bit more smooth than it was, but it was kind of because I crashed and burned. And I was like, I remember in the beginning of 2015 when I was setting my goals, I was like, if I hit 6 figures this year, like my life will be complete. Everything's going to be awesome. Like I will have made it. And so in August of 2015, last year, I hit 6 figures, and that was the month where everything came crashing down. So I was like, okay, I hit the biggest goal that I ever wanted to achieve, and it's not how I thought it was going to look. So when I came to that point and was like, shit, like everything that I believed to be true completely shattered, like I needed to find a different truth. And it was really, really difficult to get to that space. But again, I realized that what I was doing before wasn't working, and clearly like the competitive way wasn't the right way. And so I had to kind of go from there. But it wasn't until I hit like that rock bottom point that I could see like how this was being harmful inside of my business and life.
Yeah, you could see inside the bubble kind of thing.
Yeah, totally.
Okay. Tell me about, there's so many coaches out there right now. Tell me about how you see the coaching world and the online world. There's so many coaches doing so many different things, but similar things. And coaching is like a number one career choice now, right? People love the idea of working for themselves, setting their own prices, all of that kind of stuff. But how do you see the coaching world as a whole? Do you think it's a very positive place? What's your take on that?
I think you can see it any way that you want to see it. There's good and there's bad. And I see it all. but I choose to think of it as a really empowering field. And I just think that I honestly I'm obsessed with the coaching world. I think that it's so cool. And that when you are surrounding yourself with the right people, that it really just becomes this incredible community that is so supportive, so loving, people who are just really committed to having an impact and creating a ripple effect, because, my coach goes on to help me, I go on to help someone else, and it just spreads. And I think that is so freaking cool. And I just love being a part of that. And again, you hear weird, terrible stories about certain coaches, but I think that when you really go to the heart and the soul of the coaching industry, it's just so cool that you're able to take your passion for helping people, your creativity, and just turn it all into this amazing thing called coaching. I just love it.
And what's your take on collaboration today? Because collaboration is another thing that is so popular. People are learning that we have to work with one another, not just work against one another, right? So do you think that it is a big part of how you've been building your business?
I could have not done this on my own. That's definitely for sure. I think that the entrepreneur world can be really lonely if you let it be. But when you're able to join forces with other people and come together in community with these powerful women, it just becomes such a more joyful and fun experience. The women who I've been in collaboration with or just in community with, they have changed my life. They're some of my best friends now, and there's no way that I could have gotten to this point without them, both through celebrating wins and just being there for the downs. These people are amazing. And I think that, again, you could be alone in your bubble working from home, or you could connect with all these people around the globe. And I don't know, I love collaboration. I'm just such a community person. I love deep and meaningful connection. So that's huge for me, especially when I'm working alone in my house.
I feel like collaborations come such a long way. Even in the past 10 years, mind you, I wasn't, into doing all the same things I'm doing now, but, I feel like collaboration is now promoted, through what everybody's doing, instead of, even 10 years ago, it might have still been more of the masculine mindset where we are maybe in a race, or, you know what I mean? Or working against whatever, right? So
yeah, no, it's definitely true, but I think you can accomplish so much more with multiple people than you can ever do on your own. Going at it alone is just silly in my mind.
What would you suggest to the entrepreneurs or future entrepreneurs that are watching this video about a method that's really worked for you that could help them find their true authentic calling?
Well, so these are people who don't really know what they want to be doing yet. Is that what you're saying?
Well, yeah. I'll say that, yeah.
Gosh, honestly, I don't know how you get clear on something unless you take action. I think you need to try, and that's when you figure it out. So for me, I had a passion for graphic design. I went and tried that, saw if I liked it or not. I went into sales, I went into marketing. I tried all these things. And then I was able to say oh, I love this about this job, or I hate this about this one. And then I got more clarity, and the path became kind of clearer and more narrow. And I then kind of focused in on what I wanted to do. But I think you need to try things out in order to really figure out what it is that you are called to do.
Would you say that you are everybody's creative, but would you say that you're a very creative, hands-on person?
Yeah, I always have been. I've always been making things, creating things in my idea world, ever since I was really young. So creativity has always been huge for me.
I love that you mentioned that you did, quite a few things before you picked this career, because, as a very creative person myself, all through my 20s, I must have had, 10 or 11, solid careers that I'm family, this is what I'm doing, don't worry. And, they would think that I was so wishy-washy because I would change it for years. But it wasn't that it didn't work out or that I didn't succeed in them. I wanted to make an educated decision that I never wanted to look back and say, I didn't try that. And I would be thinking about it for the rest of my life, right? So
yeah, totally. People would always be oh, there Lex goes doing her new thing again. What are you doing now? What is the job today? And it got kind of annoying and frustrating, but I now know exactly what it is I want to be doing. So it's totally worth it.
Yeah. And the online world now and the coaching world, I mean, you're not just a coach or you're not just having an online business. Like there's so many doors that it opens for
Yes.
you. You're even having any online business. Now more than ever, there's just so many experiences that we can have within a career, right? Which is really exciting and fulfilling too, because it's not boring.
Yeah, it's so multidimensional. Even if have the same schedule every day, which I don't, it's still something new. Always new people. There's always like a new collaboration that you can be a part of, or like a new program you can create. Like there's just so much room for creativity, and I love all the different roles that I get to play inside of my business. It's really fun.
And the cool thing about working with different people is that, we really, like attracts like, and so we're attracting a part of somebody that we have to heal or coach inside of ourselves, right? So you're always learning new experiences. And it's funny, I'm sure it's funny for you how some things have probably come up in people that you've coached and like maybe they've happened in your own reality too, right?
All the time. Like they're just a mirror for what's happening in like my own life. It's crazy, but it's so true, which is it's really interesting and cool.
So tell everybody, like, what are you up to? Like, what kind of projects have you got behind the scenes? Like, what's going on?
Yeah. So right now I'm actually in the middle of a launch, and it's for my new program called the Biz Spark. It's a 3-month group program, just really helping any emerging and existing coaches really launch their own profitable, successful business that's really aligned with their core truths and desires. That's going so well right now. I'm like so pumped about it. And then as we talked about at the beginning of this, I'm also doing biznew magazine, which I just love the collaboration side of things, and that it's allowing me to do that. So those are the two big things at the moment, but there's always something brewing, and it's just so fun being able to create and provide value on a regular basis.
And you have a little freebie for those that are watching. Can you explain a little bit about that?
Yeah, so if you go to lexidangelo.com/start here, I have a page that's always being updated with my latest freebies. And right now there's a training going on, but it's actually going to be over by the time that people see this. So what you're going to see on there is my business spell book. And this is just going to help you really walk you through the first 3 things that you need to do today in order to really experience success. And it's a really interactive workbook, and I think you're going to really enjoy it.
And so the websites where people can find you on are lexidangelo.com and biznew mag.
Yep, it's biznewmag.com. Exactly.
Awesome. Very cool. So I have one last question before we end, and that is, what makes you wild, creative, and confident?
Ooh, what makes me wild, creative, and confident? I mean, I think that just being so aligned again with these core truths and desires, like it allows me to express myself. And like when I think of wild, it's just like the raw, real, true me. And I think that doing the inner work and really just being again unapologetic about myself and who I am and just shining my light brightly is allowing me to be creative and to be the full me and really express myself in a way that is going to allow me to be all of those things and inspire others to do the same.
Well, I mean, since I've kind of been like following you online, I mean, there's a few things I love about you. One, I think that when I first started following you, you were kind of going through, maybe it was when you're doing your change on your business, and you were very transparent about what was going on and like your setbacks that you were having. And it was very interesting. And it's great to see people, express themselves like that online and not hold back, because like, I mean, we're all human, like that stuff happens. And so also, and maybe some of the viewers watch you on like Facebook and your videos and things like that. And you're always very alive and you're always very, like you said, comical and fun, right? With your dazzle unicorn. And and you make business fun, which is really, really important. And I love the part that, you're adding magic to it. Cause I mean, there's a big I wouldn't say underground. There's a non-talked about magical community that is probably like 70% of people out there, but they don't talk about it. So it's really important to dive into that. So anyway, thank you very much for being on with us today.
Yeah, this was so fun. Thank you for having me. This was great.
And thank you everybody for watching again, and make sure you tune into our next video, and make sure you also head to wildandcreative.com and check out the new program, 6 Steps for Creative Success. So thanks very much. Talk to you soon.
Thank you.